Hello Pisces, Sun, Moon, Rising, and Venus signs. Welcome to your tarot reading here at the Intuitive Teacup. Oh my gosh, starting off with 2 5s. All right, please come into this tarot reading with an open heart and an open mind. If the messages that come through are not resonating with you, feel free to push them aside. You may want to revisit them at a later date. Sometimes tarot messages will make more sense in the future. You are accountable and responsible for all your own actions and decisions. This is, of course, optional advice, guidance, and energy check-in. So all that being said, let's try and have some fun and get you some helpful, insightful messages here. All right, there's definitely a storyline going on between the King of Wands and the Queen of Wands. So that could be some sort of marriage or some sort of partnership, some sort of relationship issue coming through. Right smack in the middle, you have the Hierophant. So the Hierophant is typically a sign of tradition. It can have a lot to do with the idea of sort of preachings and lessons and guidance. It's Taurian energy, so sort of the idea of something being the word solidified, set in stone, something that you maybe are very dedicated and loyal to, something you're determined to work through. It is frequently a card of marriage and I think teachers and sort of advisors of all different kinds. So this may be representing a mode that you're in. It may also be an energy coming into you. I feel like there's a communication with someone who they're in a very powerful position. So I don't know if it's something where their answer impacts or affects you and how you're going to sort of navigate your life in the coming weeks or months. Some of you may be applying to, some sort of college or some sort of job, or maybe you're, on dating apps looking to connect with someone. If that's the case, it almost seems like, I say quote unquote, they have the power, in that maybe like you've decided that you want to move forward with something, but you're kind of waiting to see if they're committed. For most of you, I think you're going to get your wish with the wish fulfillment card. I'm really liking this energy in the middle. You have some challenging cards, right? But what would a tarot reading be without some challenges and tricks, right? Yeah, so I feel like some sort of important message or communication that you're involved in and possibly waiting on. If you're waiting for the results of something or waiting to hear back, for the majority of you, the wish fulfillment card, which is a Pisces card no less, usually says you're going to get your wish, that things are aligning in your favor. I like that very much. It's a Jupiter energy, Jupiter in Pisces. So Jupiter is in its home sign, right? Jupiter is the ruler of Pisces and Sagittarius. And I only mention that to say like you're in your element here. There's something that I think would work very well, especially if this is a partnership. Now with that, I'm wondering if it involves someone who's very fiery, someone who maybe has strong fire in their chart, an Aries, Leo, Sagittarius. It certainly doesn't have to. You might also not be privy to that information at this time. It's interesting though that the King and Queen of Wands are looking in different directions. And the cards surrounding them, there's a lot of like mystery and questioning and just maybe not feeling totally emotionally secure or anchored, understanding what the other person is thinking or wanting or desiring. It's almost like the channels of communication have been blocked or they're not open right now. So I don't know if that's this storyline or something else. Let's look a little deeper into this. So for some of you, this is kind of an interesting message because for some of you, you're going to get word back and it's sort of going to initially, I'm looking for the right word, contradict what you thought you wanted or what you thought you were going to get. But hang with me here because the Nine of Cups says that it is in alignment in terms of long-term wishes and dreams. So you might be so in it right now that you can't see the forest from the trees, but something about whatever this decision or determination that comes through, it does work out to your benefit, but you might not see it that way initially. It's almost like this feels very, very typical of eclipse season. It almost changes the course of your destiny, or it changes the course of your trajectory and where you think you're headed or what you want to do, simply by getting some sort of clarity from a person who, if this is dating, maybe some of you were really holding on to someone for a long time, and maybe for some of you, you finally get that confirmation via social media. Let's say with Page of Swords is like, oh, that person's engaged, like they're married, or this person may reach out to you and say, I don't want a commitment. And I hate to be so wishy-washy. Some of you may get that commitment, but it's almost like that would almost be too easy, which is great. And I love when things are easy, but because of the cards they're surrounded by, part of me thinks like it's not going to be this just like, it's not just handed to you. It's not just this gift from the universe. It's like, it's going to take a little bit more drive and energy and passion action being a key word there with the wands energy, of you to kind of choose an alternate path or go an alternate way. Or again, even if this is a very positive communication and the arrival of good news, there's something that you have to take into consideration, like, wow, this really does change everything. So in order to accept this dream job that I wasn't sure I was going to get, now I have it, but I really do have to move cities, or I really do have to, fill in the blank, have a serious talk with my partner about our relationship in the future. And, there is some revelation and some reveal, what's a good word? I'm hearing reveal, like revealing of big news and big plans. And frequently with the Tower, it can come kind of shocking and unexpectedly. So there is this kind of incredible balance here of like really good things and really good news, and then something you're like, oh my gosh, I didn't see that coming. And so with the Two of Wands and the Page of Swords, I see this as needing to course correct. Or maybe that's not the right term, but make adjustments, be flexible, be adaptable. There may be good news coming in terms of fixing a financial crisis or a financial situation. That could be, I'm hearing like mending, healed. So more opportunity for abundance may be coming in. But with that in the Five of Cups, I almost think there's emotional sacrifice. Some of you may be recovering from like an expensive divorce or some sort of expense regarding like a court case, or having to pay for something that you didn't necessarily want to, but more or less you had no choice and you understood that that was what you had to do. So there could be some relief coming in. Maybe you finally paid off a long-standing credit card bill or getting rid of credit card debt. But with that, it's almost like you have to phase out the old version of you and maybe unhealthy spending habits, or being with a partner who didn't contribute to, financially to the pot, or something where there's sort of a loss and a grieving and a detaching of something that had been in your life for what seems like a long-standing while, that you understand energetically you need to release and move on from. And again, for some of you, it's more of like this internal instinctual habit or pattern that you developed over the years, and it just kind of became second nature. But you're starting to realize, like, this self-revelation of like, oh, I'm doing this and I shouldn't be. Like, that's what's contributing to this agony or this difficulty in money or this struggle in relationship patterns. So for some of you, it's internal. Others of you, it's external, meaning that you're with someone who isn't sort of having the greatest influence on you and how you want your life to expand and grow. It's almost like there's a conflict of interest. And I very much see that with the King and the Queen of Wands here, especially if that represents sort of an external person in your life, some sort of influence that they don't necessarily have your best. They don't have your best in mind. They maybe act from a more selfish place and sort of, especially with Five of Cups, maybe there's like emotional manipulation to try and get you to kind of swing their way or do something that is in their best interest but not necessarily yours. You get the idea. You get the picture. What else? For some reason, I almost called you Aries, and I don't really have a lot of Aries cards here, so I'm wondering if that was kind of coming through in terms of like a channel, like channeling. Like, I'm wondering if an Aries for some of you may be involved in some of this. For some of you, there is going to be serious talks about commitment and the future in terms of moving forward with your romantic partner. There also may be discussions about finances and money, particularly if you have a child who's going off to college, or maybe you're helping them to buy a car, or there's some sort of major expense that needs to be discussed, possibly around the topic of children. And if you're able to make room for this in your life, or for some of you, it's non-negotiable, but it's like kind of forming some sort of important long-term game plan for money and finances. I see that coming to light here in the tarot cards. For some of you, I feel like there's a fire sign, possibly a male fire sign. Aries, Leo, Sagittarius. Could also be Scorpio, Cancer, water signs, or possibly Taurus. I'm gonna say those signs because there's a lot of those coming through. There could be someone who kind of has that fiery, passionate energy, and if it's almost like my Pisces are waiting on a response from them, or you're trying to get a pulse on where they stand, if they're going to pick you, if they're going to commit. They seem to have a lot of issues of unresolved things from their past. I don't necessarily know if it's an ex, or, you have to put this in context of what makes sense for you, if it makes sense for you. But they're focused on the past. They have a lot of loose ends that need to be, tied up. They may have financial stuff. They may be grieving the loss of something or someone in their life. And so I'm going to say either dating or courting you, or or simply giving you an equal amount of attention that you may need from them right now, that seems to be a real struggle. So for those who are casually dating or in a relationship where you're like, oh, it's complicated, the fire sign, I don't see them budging immediately, especially being clarified by, it doesn't have to be a fire sign. As I said, Aries, Leo, Sag, Scorpio, Cancer, Taurus are the main ones coming through. With that energy, I see them being very contemplative but uncertain about what they want to invest in emotionally right now. And for some of them, it's like their hands are tied. Even if they do enjoy your company, just by default, you're not the main priority, unfortunately, right now, Pisces. So I think it's saying don't... I hate to use the word don't. I'm never trying to tell you what to do. Just, offer some advice or guidance here. It's almost like don't put all your eggs in one basket, because they certainly aren't, if you understand my metaphor there. I do think the Taurus, if you're dealing with a Taurus, they have some very surprising news to bring forward and share with you. But they're feeling very vulnerable or wounded or insecure about the issue or the topic or just about themselves. And so it's almost like you're going to have to pry it out of them a little bit. I think they eventually will share it with you. And so, proceed with caution. If they're not ready to share it with you, then, they're not going to. So I don't want you to become a nag or kind of add more pressure to their plate when that's the last thing they need. The Taurus is going to come forward with some sort of revelation or news or something that may change things a little bit. But again, I'm getting the same message of it actually does work out for your benefit, though you may not see it as that. So take it in stride, try and have, again, see the forest from the trees, zoom out if you can, because this may be a small situation that you're like, wait a minute, what? But in the grand scheme of things, the universe is actually looking out for you. I hope that makes sense. That may have to do with a teaching job for some of you, or again, applications to like university or college. Maybe you don't get your first pick, but you're actually much happier going to the school that you decide on. Symbolically, it's that type of like, in hindsight, it's totally going to make sense and you're going to be like thanking the universe. But initially, you may not know how to feel about it. And there might be a little bit of like, feeling either rejected or feeling like down and out of luck, like not getting your wish or whatever. But, the wish fulfillment card is here. So that says to me, that's sort of a false perception of what's going on. And I think that's underscored even more with the Page of Swords, where it's like, page, knight, queen, king. The one with the information and sort of the application skills, or really like the perception, the understanding surrounding this, it's only a page. So that says to me there's a huge potential here for miscommunication or a misunderstanding. This person isn't operating at the highest vibe in terms of interpreting the full situation and the impact of what's really going on. So I'm really encouraging you, Pisces, to keep your faith, because you do have some very strong cards here. But there may be like a small little hurdle to get over that, again, you probably don't see coming, but it is aligning you to the best path for you. Like there is a higher power watching over this, and they're never gonna throw something at you guys that you can't handle, right? This is sort of a test of your faith, your tenacity, your self-sufficiency, those types of qualities and things. I do feel like there is a different story. I do feel like there is a fire sign who's longing after you, particularly an Aries or a Leo, maybe even a Virgo. And I think they're filled with remorse or regret because they chose someone else over you. Now, again, maybe this is a job candidate, right? Maybe it's a job you didn't get. Maybe it does represent dating, right? But there is kind of this sort of numb, defeated feeling of, oh, I should have gone with Pisces. They still very much think about you. And with the Tower, they may have had a sudden breakup or a sudden ending with whoever they chose over you. I just get the idea that this person had a choice to make, and they move forward with, I'll say, another candidate, interpret that as you will. But that either ended in divorce, or someone got laid off, or something happened here where they wish they had chosen the other one. And so they may circle back and see if you're still interested. But again, I don't see that happening immediately, because it's not this rebounding energy. It's not like this, oh, okay, I got dumped by my ex and now I'm going to go hit it with Pisces. It's not that, because it's almost like they sort of assume that they already missed out on their chance with you. It's like they assume that they screwed it up beyond repair. They feel very guilty. They feel very like, why didn't I choose Pisces or go with Pisces or say yes to that thing? And so they're, ironically, for the Queen of Action, the wand energy, right? I see this person feeling very like conflicted about reaching out because it's almost like they can't stand to be rejected again, even though ironically they may have rejected you in the past. Again, Aries, Leo, Virgo are coming through very strongly on that. It may also be someone who has very strong Pisces in their chart. So it could be like someone who has a Pisces moon or a Pisces rising or a Pisces Venus. Again, Cancerian energy is kind of coming through on that as well, maybe Capricorn. So I think this person, it's like they know they screwed up. They wish they had chosen you. And now it's sort of like they hold you up on a pedestal. They look to you on a pedestal of like what could have been. It's like you were their wish fulfillment, only it's like they had to kiss a few toads or frogs or whatever to realize that you were the one they wanted the whole time. Now, I'll be honest, I don't know how I feel about that message. It would be silly and naive to sort of say that doesn't happen all the time in life. But I also think it's the Cinderella story that, oh my gosh, my ex kind of, realizes the error of their ways and comes back. And like, that sounds great, but it also kind of sounds like a fairy tale. And so take that as you will, right? I don't mean to offend anyone. So some of you certainly have that wish. And again, your wish fulfillment, you might just get that wish. But with that, and I hate to be negative, that's not my point here, but that's where this energy of like, things not aligning the way you thought. It's like maybe some of you, your ex does come back and they think they're a changed person and they choose you, but maybe that behavior hasn't totally absolved or been removed from the equation. So maybe they still kind of have wandering eyes, even though they said they are committed to you and they want to marry you. You find that they're still looking at dating apps or something like that. And you're just like, what the heck? So in which case you get your wish fulfillment, but there's a greater revelation here of like, oh, I see, like this person isn't going to respect me the way, I want them to. And like for you, again, there's this sudden upgrade in terms of like what you want in your future. It's like, I think you've raised the bar on what you're willing to tolerate and accept on relationships. And I love that for you. And so by someone coming back around, I think you're going to see with more clarity, like the rose-tinted glasses are off and you see this person for who they actually really are. And while they have good qualities, it might not be exactly what you're looking for anymore, in which case this person is right. And they almost missed that window of opportunity with you when you were willing to accept something. Because I don't know, I'm just getting this idea of like, at this point, if they were to reach out for you, Pisces, it would be a downgrade because you seem to have leveled up a little bit. So obviously, I'm hoping you guys don't take offense to that, because it means like, if you essentially say no thanks to someone who's like far below you in terms of energetic compatibility, equality, the universe is going to be like, oh, okay, I see Pisces is like respecting themselves more. Let me bring someone else in to, bring someone new into their life that's sort of more on their level and what they're looking for. Like the universe really does want to help you out. You aren't being punished, but there is this really interesting revelation with the Tower. So yeah. Last minute messages. Anything else I need to relay to Pisces here? There could be a commitment with a Scorpio coming through. I could potentially see that. And this isn't a bad thing or, again, a critique per se, but because you guys are so heavy in water, there's like a lot of watery energy. You guys may have to help work as a team to pull each other out of your funk every now and then, because like any sign, there can be some heaviness and some depression. And I'm sort of getting this idea that you guys help lift each other's spirits up. So there's this great, like, you and me against the world, like team up energy. But what happens when that person like goes away and they're not with you 24 hours? And I mean, go away in terms of like, whatever, a business trip, whatever. You can't like eat, sleep, and breathe this person. There, for any healthy relationship, there's going to be some time apart and some independence and some individuality. I could see this becoming very codependent. And so I would caution you just to be aware of that and to be open and honest about communication and work through it together. But, in any relationship, no matter what the signs or elements, healthy boundaries are good. And also, and I mean that not so much in terms of the other person, but sort of giving power to negative thoughts or negative emotion and letting that sort of overtake you and becoming sort of this spiral of anxiety, depression, dread, fear. I see elements of that here. That could be sort of the demise of a relationship. So I'm hoping by making you self-aware and entering into this relationship knowing both parties, you included Pisces, you have some triggers that can kind of, bring you to that place that may be a little bit darker or a little bit more sad or sorrow-filled, however you want to say it. And so you guys need to have some sort of system or regimen or routine of recognizing that when you're feeling that way, expressing it, and doing something productive and healthy to work through it. You know, even if it's just doing something little that brings you joy and happiness. And not only do you need to sort of support each other in that process and that endeavor, you also need to learn healthy coping skills and a strategy to be able to do that for yourself. To recognize like, oh, that anxiety, that depression, it's getting triggered, it's flaring up a little bit. So rather than like floundering in it and drowning, by recognizing it in advance, you can be like, okay, I just keep getting like building blocks, stepping stones into working my way through it so that it doesn't become this tragedy, right? Healthy coping strategies that get stronger and bigger the more you do them, and healthier. It's like flexing a muscle. The more you get into the practice of recognizing it and addressing it sooner, not letting it fester, it's like you conquer that demon. You work through that fear and it doesn't become this intimidating, monstrous thing anymore. That being said, I do see really beautiful moments with another Pisces. Again, Scorpio's coming through. Possibly a Gemini. There might be something with a Gemini in terms of a new relationship coming in. So, take that as you will. Let's wrap you up with an oracle card. Anything I need to share with Pisces that we didn't address or underscore something, little phrase. Let's see. What does this say? Always do your best and honor yourself. Honor the man or woman that you are. Take the risk to express your dream. Taking action is about living fully and expressing what you are. And there's a little dove there. All right, Pisces, that's what I got for you. Thanks for joining me today. Please remember to like, share, subscribe, and I will see you very soon for more tarot. Bye.